are sent, seeking glory in the greatest of events. There are knights on noble steeds, those who will bring them to their knees. There are monsters to test their mettle at every turn. Legends will rise based on their merits. There's even pirates riding parrots. It's the grand tournament.
Welcome back, everyone, to the SLTV StarSeries Hearthstone Season 1 LAN Finals. We just lost the lighting on the casters, but I think we'll be just fine as soon as that's resolved. Anyway, we're onwards to the third match of the day. We just saw Doug crush Colento in a 3-0. That was actually pretty convincing.
Yeah, his Face Hunter didn't really have the reach it needed. He was always, like, stopped just before he could win, or Doug just had the answer. But, yeah, it was a good... Doug played well. He played exceptionally well. Made some really good decisions.
Right. I mean, you have to play well, and you have to hope for the the luck of the draw to go your way. Now we're onwards to StanCifka versus Cipher, if I'm not mistaken, versus Tice. Sorry, I lied. I'll just lied. So it's going to be again Tice's second match of the day. He took the first one.
Oh no, isn't it Cipher?
Yeah, StanCifka versus Cipher. Oh, you're right. Never mind.
No,
it is Cipher. We saw actually his face on the webcam. You're right. You're totally right. You're correct. So it is gonna be Cipher, straight from the UK. You're a compatriot, right?
Yep, from my homeland. Oh well, he's English. I'm Welsh. I mean,
isn't that the same? Oh, sacrilege, Noxious! What have you done?
So yeah, there's still there's a lot of difference, I suppose. But yeah, Cipher, it's nice to have someone from the United Kingdom representing the professional scene for us. You know, I still think our scene is still developing. And hopefully we'll see more pros of the UK coming out to events like this.
It's kind of like the Alaskan scene, right? Like nobody in Alaska really plays Hearthstone. We're still looking for that, Alaska team. It's one of those things we need, I think.
Yeah, it's just growth. As esports grows, the scene will grow hopefully. But yeah, we do have StanCifka's first game and Cipher's first game. Right. So StanCifka. What do we know about this guy?
All I know from seeing him play is that he likes the control, the control play style. A little bit of a slower player. He's pretty tight when he plays. I've seen him play Control Warrior when everybody was playing Patron with the double brawl. The typical all-in, I don't like Patron kind of deck. So it worked out for him quite nicely. He's a very greedy player when he plays it, but he plays it well. So definitely commending him for that.
Yeah, and StanCifka should have a few things to say about Hearthstone and his experiences so far.
I'm first time in Ukraine, and it's really exciting to be here. Like I didn't see much before because I've arrived 3 hours ago, but it looks like a nice city, and I'm really looking forward to visit the castle tomorrow, and hopefully we're gonna do some clubbing as well, because I've heard that nightlife in Kiev is also very nice. So I'm really excited about it and really looking forward. It was in Prague, and it was actually very interesting because it was the first time we had such a big event in Czech Republic, and the Czech Republic is my own country, so it was really interesting experience to bring all the known players there. And I think the action was very good. Like the players were playing pretty good, and overall the venue was very well prepared, and like all the small stuff were working. So yeah, it was a nice experience, and I was kind of missing that I cannot play there, but you cannot be everywhere, and like there are a lot of events during the year, so that's it, and you have to focus on the tournaments when you are playing, and this is gonna be the one I would like to win. So if you are playing on LAN, then you have to travel to the tournament. You often play over the stage, so people are, cheering for you, and like there are fans you are meeting. So I actually really like the LAN events, while on the online tournaments you are playing from your comfort zone, you are playing from your house, and you can take a rest whenever you want. So it's much more exhausting to play on the LAN, and you have to put a lot of things together, while I really like to play on the LANs because you meet everyone, and you also visit new countries and new places, so it's really super nice to go somewhere and play there.
So in a nutshell, what I understood is he likes clubbing.
Yeah, he loves the party, StanCifka. And he likes it, from what he told us, he likes the experience of coming out to an event, meeting the players, and be able to have like a social atmosphere. Right. Being able to go to like a nightclub or a bar and just like chill out, have a chat, have some drinks. You know, I really like. I've met StanCifka twice now, and like every time I've met him, he's always really like upbeat, and he really wants to like get involved. And he's such a great guy.
I'm waiting for a negative statement from him. Like the only negative statement I've heard is something like, "No, Patron Warrior will still be played." That's all I heard. That was the most negative thing he ever said. So definitely like an upbeat guy. He looks a little bit, I don't want to say stretched out, but focused right now. So he's definitely ready to fight off against Cipher. Again, both players want to get a massive win under their belt. I mean, StanCifka is already fairly established. He's like a very consistent player, but he wants a big title, and this is possibly one of them.
Yeah, for sure. And Cipher, you know, an up-and-coming Brit player, playing for Fade to Karma. You know, I've seen him in my scene a lot, mainly through other events. He doesn't really attend the UK events because we're still quite small, we're still growing. So maybe hopefully in the future he'll feel the need to come to them as well. But Cipher also has some thoughts on Hearthstone and his experiences so far.
Yep, over the past few months I've started to get a lot more LAN experience. Played Ufinity recently, DreamHack, Asus ROG and such, so I'm starting to get a lot more used to it. I think the first few events it was very, very stressful traveling. It's not like it's very, very different from playing at home. I think you hear players say that a lot, and it's very true. I think in terms of playing correctly, it's much more difficult when you're not at home, you're not comfortable, you're out of your comfort zone. But yeah, the LAN experience is definitely something I enjoy. I think meeting players, because often you know someone for months and in some cases years, and you never ever meet them until you both qualify for the same LAN event. And you actually get to put a face to that name who you've been speaking with for. I think I'm very excited to meet Nyria here actually. I've known him for years, and I can remember him back in the beta actually. I only met him once at DreamHack, and I didn't get much of a chance to talk to him. So since he's native Ukraine, I'm hoping he can kind of show me around here, and I'm very excited. I actually know very, very little about Kiev and Ukraine, so it would be, it's a very, very different culture, I could tell just from the drive here. I actually know no stereotypes from for Ukraine. The only thing I do know is I used to compete in fencing, and we would always hate having to play against the Ukrainian fencers because they were very, very good. That's the one thing I know about Ukraine.
All right, so I think Cipher is a fencing coach, basically. I mean, he seems to be pretty happy to be here, so definitely something to note. I mean, I like the fact that all those players are very friendly. Like, you would think sometimes, some gaming events, the player base of some other games, you know, they're all reserved. In Hearthstone, it's like a little family. Everybody just talks to each other. Yeah,
it's a great atmosphere, and it's one of the things I love about this scene and this game, because I've been in other competitive games as well. It's very similar to some of the other scenes I've been in, so it's nice to have that familiarity. It's when I started doing Hearthstone. And, you know, Cipher, like, he said he's friends with Nyria. He's known him for years, but this is one of the first times he'll be in his home country and be able to interact with him. So it's nice that he can actually reach out to a friend and meet him in real life and get to hang out.
Yeah, I mean, Nyria is also casting the Russian portion of the event, right? So he's actually watching the games from Cipher. So if Cipher here messes up, Nyria will know all about it and even criticize it. So we'll see exactly how that goes. I'm not too sure what classes both people brought. I know the StanCifka, you know, I think all players brought Warrior, besides, I think, Dog, maybe being the exception, expecting to have it banned. So they all know that their other three decks are likely to be the ones that they're allowed to play. We'll see if any of the players decide to go for something a little bit fancier, where they let Patron be played and then they just play something else to counter it.
Maybe they just don't want Patron to be involved in the tournament because of its future, right? So they can have a bit of fun, have a bit of flexibility in what they play, and kind of get a feel for an upcoming meta, a new horizon for Hearthstone. And I would like Dog had quite a good idea. Like, don't bring Warrior. Make them have to make a decision what they ban. Because if you just bring Warrior, like, oh, ban that. I've just banned. I'm not going to play it.
Yeah, throw them in the future. Make them think about what they would ban if there were no Patron Warriors allowed. So as it turns out, StanCifka banned the Warrior from Cipher, and Cipher banned the...
No, it's the
other way around. Yeah, you're right. Cipher banned the... Oh, my God.
Cipher banned the Warrior.
The Warrior, and StanCifka banned the Hunter from Cipher.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened. So basically both players brought Warrior, but StanCifka is letting Cipher play the Warrior, which is exactly what we were talking about. You know, maybe you're willing to let your opponent play Warrior, either because you believe they're going to misstep, or because you think you're able to counter it. So we'll see what StanCifka has. You know, I expect here Handlock and Druid. If he's letting Patron go through, then that's probably in his lineup. But as far as the Mage goes, do you think Tempo Mage would be something you'd bring up against a potential Patron?
Echoes Mage?
Oh, man. Oh, that'd be the dream.
He has played it in the past. I mean, I was playing one of his lists a few months ago. There was two lists. There was Nev's list and there was StanCifka's list kind of going around. I was trying them both. So he has some history with the deck at least. So maybe he wants to bring something a bit fun, maybe something a bit different. We'll have to see.
Yeah, there's going to be a Control Warrior, I think, from Cipher. It's possible that he brings that instead of Patron. I'm not too sure how comfortable he is with either archetype. There's a possibility that StanCifka has some intel on Cipher, knowing that maybe he plays more Control. We'll have to see. So it's going to be a Druid mirror match and no ramp from Cipher's Mulligan.
And StanCifka hasn't done his yet. I guess he'll keep the 4-drop. I think 4-drop's super important.
Yeah, the ramp is
more
perhaps
important?
a little bit more. I mean, when you're playing Aspirant and Wild Growth, you're looking for those primarily, I'd guess. Pretty weak hand for both players. No crazy ramp happening for either of them right now.
Well, Cipher has the advantage of having a Shade on free at the moment, and he does have a coin, so he has a bit of utility of what he can drop coming up. But like you said, both of them lack the ramp, so this is like an honest Druid match right now.
Yeah, and you know what's cool about not having ramp early is that very often what you run into is both players top deck Innervate at the worst possible time when they just don't need it, or they get Wild Growth when they just don't need it. So not starting with it, you know, it's bad right now because you don't ramp, but it's also worse later.
No, that's true, and the Shade's going to find its way to StanCifka's hand, so their hands are quite similar.
Yeah.
Apart from Savage Roar and Dr. Boom and Forasun and Double Keeper, so...
I mean, they're different, but they're fairly similar in that they will probably progress the same way. What's interesting about Emperor here is that it might force the opponent's Shade to unstealth earlier than yours. So there's a good chance that StanCifka can keep his, his Shade stealthed for a little bit longer, depending on what he expects to see.
And the one thing Emperor does, apart from reduce the cost of hand, especially in a deck like Druid, is it creates like a mind game. What has been reduced? Can he combo earlier now? Do I play around an earlier combo? So, Forasun does have that kind of mental aspect on its opponent as well, especially in a deck like Druid, which has an explosive 14 damage from hand with 2 cards.
Yeah, most definitely. I think that's one of the biggest problems with Emperor is when it falls on the board, you kind of throw out any of the combinations of cards that you would have usually played against because you don't know which of those pieces would have been reduced. So sure, you can assume that one of 2 of Savage Roar or Force of Nature was reduced, but you can't assume that, say, a Swipe was brought down to 3. It's tough to make that call.
It's harder to play around stuff sometimes. It's harder to predict what combination of cards can come down on the curve, because if he has 6 mana, you might see Swipe Wrath, but if he's Emperor'd it, he might be able to squeeze in other little things that he couldn't before. Yeah,
even an extra hero power is a really big deal in those cases. So Cipher ends up keeping the coin. I'm guessing the idea is to get that Dr. Boom as fast as possible on the board, and in this case, I think it will pan out. He does, however, have to find a 4-drop, and Keeper of the Grove might not be appealing enough to do that.
Yeah, Keeper's kind of a weak 4-drop. You really want that Shredder, which is why I kind of question maybe might keep the Shredder just so you have that 4-drop. Because that's where the Druid game starts, right? 4 onwards. And if you can ramp up, you want to ramp up to 4 onwards so you can start playing your cards. So maybe just keeping hold of it. I mean, I probably would have because I like to have that 4-drop guaranteed because I know that's where my game begins.
Especially against another Druid, it's just the risk that you run into, I guess, of, if an Innervate is in my opponent's hand and he's got the coin, which is exactly what StanCifka was facing down, maybe he was worried. I guess, ultimately, keeping it in this case would have been correct.
And here we go, Keeper of the Grove to the face.
That's fine, right? I mean, totally worth it.
You need to play cards, so you've got no choice here, unfortunately. He's kind of thinking about the Shade now.
Maybe Keeper of the Grove's name is actually Dennis.
Dennis?
Yeah.
Why would it be Dennis?
Why would it be You don't know Dennis?
Dennis?
Aquablade doesn't know Dennis?
I don't. You need to enlighten me.
Okay, Dennis is a legendary player who once displayed an amazing amount of skill by Holy Smiting the opponent's face on turn 1.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it was a great display of knowledge, and it was really to assert dominance, really. And it worked out, because his opponent immediately started laughing. And
so he was trying to put fear into his opponent.
Right.
I'll smite you.
I don't care.
What are you going to do about it?
Yeah,
and his opponent was like, whatever.
Pretty much what happened. Alright, so we're looking at here at the possible Wrath hero power to kill the 2/4. It's going to let your Shade grow. And the fact that your Shade grows means that anything your opponent plays on curve is threatened. The only thing you don't want to see, really, is something like a Druid of the Claw, because it's a 4/6. But you do have the potential to combine the Keeper of the Grove with your Shade to kill that. So overall, I feel like the Wrath is better than coining out, and maybe wasting the coin on a Druid of the Claw.
Drawing the Force-on, maybe that's what he's thinking now. I can drop Force-on on turn 5 now, coin him out, reduce the cost of my hand. He's got some good stuff in there as well. Another Keeper, another a Savage Roar, which is part of the combo piece for the Druid, and he gets the Dr. Boom reduced. So maybe that's kind of his idea here, just get that Force-on down as soon as possible.
Yeah, that's definitely, I think, the line of thinking. Now, what's interesting is, earlier I was mentioning how Cipher's Shade might be able to stay stealthed to counter anything on curve that StanCifka played, such as Emperor Thorson, obviously the biggest target for Shade. That's become a 5/5 by that point. But if Cipher ends up coining out his Thorson, he will get a discount on it, be able to play Dr. Boom as a follow-up, and it will force StanCifka to do exactly what Cipher wanted to do, which is straight up. Now, if, however, StanCifka ends up playing the Emperor on his own turn after his opponent's Emperor is played, then Cipher playing Dr. Boom is going to feel a little miserable, because you still don't deal with the 5/5.
All these Emperor games, and now this Drake looks very appealing to trade into, especially if you played the Emperor Forsen now, because you'll want to protect it, and you want to force him to use other cards rather than curving out something on 6 or on 5. So he needs to make a decision here where he wants to go with it.
Yeah, if you kill the Drake, though, you really open yourself, because you play Emperor and it's a sacrificial Emperor.
Oh yeah, that's true, because the Shade grows.
That's the biggest drawback.
You kill the Shade,
right,
for sure.
So if you kill the Shade, you open yourself up to a swipe. So it really isn't a play that you love making, but ultimately you have to take a gamble on either swipe, or just straight up trading with the Shade. If you kill the Drake, it's usually better because you're more likely to trade away both minions. Whereas if you just kill the Shade, maybe swipe hits, and then good luck.
Yeah, it's a tough decision.
It really is.
You just have to make a strong read now on what you think he's going to have. Forsen's going to do his work, though. Before he gets taken out, he's going to reduce that hand, and you are going to get that Dr. Boom on 6, which you were talking about. But it looks like he does actually go for the Drake here.
I mean, Dr. Boom into combo sounds pretty cool. You're getting not only the 6 draw that spawns 3 minions, but also the combo right afterwards. But this is exactly what StanCifka is, kind of okay with. He plays his own Emperor, makes the trade, and now it's up to Cipher to find a way to deal with the Emperor Thorson in an efficient manner while keeping his tempo up.
Emperor's going back and forth. Who would you say has got the stronger Emperor hand, though?
I would say Cipher has the better hand.
With the combo reduced for sure, but double Shredder into, say, Wrath or double Shredder. I mean, I think StanCifka's got a better hand as it progresses, but in the kind of current situation, if StanCifka can't kind of respond to the Dr. Boom,
yeah, which he can. I mean, he can go swipe Wrath to kill it and then play a Shredder on the back of it. This is beyond insane.
That's pretty strong.
Yeah, you almost can't really do better than this in a position like that, because you get to keep your Emperor, maybe, if the boom bots don't go completely crazy, and then you can just deal some damage with it as well. So you're setting your opponent in a position where he's playing from behind, and even though he got a massive discount on his Emperor, yours potentially is even better.
And you're sitting at 30 health as well, so that combo is not going to come into play just yet. So if you look at what StanCifka has in his hand, double Shredder, Ancient of Law, and another Keeper, he's got some, like you said, he's got some really strong follow-up plays, especially if he decides to go for this swipe Wrath Pilot Shredder, whereas I think Cipher will need to find some more minions.
Yeah, playing your Shredder first as well to soak up some damage from the boom bots makes a lot of sense, because the Emperor dying is worse, in fact, than pretty much anything else. Gets a crappy minion, as bad as it gets. As bad as it gets.
Oh, poor little parrot. It's got no love.
It's alright. I love it when it's not in my deck. So I have that going for me. Oh man, wait. Lotheb, Innervage with a Claw.
That's a really good response.
Oh, that's a scary response.
So you can charge Druid, clear up the Force-on, get a 5/5, lock out the spell so he can't go swiping away like he did last turn. If he did, well, actually he could, right? He could just swipe and
for
trade.
8, right.
Yeah, but that's just counterproductive. That's so counterproductive.
Yeah, the drawback to that play, it's not that it's a bad play per se. The biggest issue with it is you're giving back the initiative to your opponent, right, if that happens. So you're paying 8, you're clearing the Lotheb, yes, but you're also giving him back the opportunity to play something first. So I think Ancient of Lore is probably more appealing. Oh man, haha, counter Lotheb.
Lotheb into Lotheb, they both have the same, both had Force-on, both had Lotheb, but I think drawing cards is so much better.
It's been a very fair game, though. Both players haven't really ramped up. You know, sometimes you get a complete blowout, like one player just goes Wild Growth and then an Innervate play, or like Donatus Aspirant, and it's just curving perfectly while the other one struggles. This is not one of those games. This is actually a very, very fair game for both players.
It's an honest Druid mirror, and we don't see them very often.
Yeah, it's...
All right, Shredder comes down. Nice board from StanCifka, sitting at 30 health as well. So he's really healthy. He's got a strong board. He's forcing Cipher to answer these problems. I'm
not sure how you approach this situation, though, from Cipher's perspective, because if you're ever forced to use Force of Nature, you're in a position where you don't have a lethal anymore. Your Thaurissan play just fizzled because you aimed for that combo. You know, you go Thaurissan into Dr. Boom, bank on the fact that he doesn't have removal, and then you win. But in this case, if you end up playing from behind here, it's not going to be any fun.
This is what I was saying about StanCifka's hand before. It over the long course of the game, it was a lot better, right. and StanCifka has managed to let it go out to that long course, and now he's managing to get board back. But Force of Nature combo has to come down here to establish that board dominance. Gets a 2-3. That's better the Parrot.
I mean, you might as well just trade with the entire board, right?
Yeah, keep the board.
But Cipher with nothing more than a Keeper of the Grove pair. What do you do here? Double Innervate. Yeah, okay. It might actually not be too bad.
So you could low-fab, swipe, Innovate, Donatus, Aspirant, you regain board.
You could play everything. You can even Innervate the Keeper to face if you want. At this stage, you can just do about everything. I mean, StanCifka could technically, I think, play his entire hand, right?
Yeah, probably, if he wants to. I mean, Keeper, Hero Power, the low-fab, keep the swipe maybe, but... I know. I think there's a merit to leaving stuff in your hand anyway. If you can if you can deal with this quite cleanly with say 3 or 4 cards and leave 2 more, it just leaves the question in Cipher's head: does he have combo now? Am I gonna get taken out?
Yeah, I really like this because you deal damage to the face and you can finish off the Lothab with the Keeper, and then you just Innervate Lothab. You can do everything you want if you're StanCifka here.
Dump the hand.
Got the options.
All right. So is he gonna leave the Aspirant?
I mean, he's one off lethal next turn if he plays everything, and he could definitely top deck a win. You know, Druid of the Claw, he's got Forces of Nature, he's got Savage Roars. I think just going all in is perfectly acceptable when you've locked all the spells from your opponent from being played.
Sitting at 30 health as well. Another Force of Nature, it's not going to do much here. Oh, this is looking tough. Double Keeper to clear something?
Double Keeper to kill that 2/4, and then you play BGH for tempo.
Man, that does not feel good as a Druid.
What feels good here, though?
Nothing. Nothing at all. It's such a shame.
I can't quite figure out what feels good in a position like this. I mean, I guess there could be an argument for Double Keeper the Lothab and finish it off with Hero Power. That way you only leave 4 on the board. But, I mean, you're still dead to the same stuff.
Is your health a resource at the moment at this point? I don't think it is, really.
It isn't, but like you're getting 1 extra armor than if you went for BGH. But over the long term, you get many less trades. Because you lose the BGH for attack into something else.
Yep, Tempo BGH. Double Keeper BGH. Like, utility cards coming down, not doing anything related to utility.
And StanCifka is going to look for a lethal. Now, he could find a swipe for that as well. Oh, no, he's already played those. Oh, wow. 1 mana off.
So, let's have a look at the damage from Cipher. Does he? You can just trade into BGH, which is fine. 5 to face. Hero Power
looks very safe, yeah.
And bam, that's it. Force of Nature sitting in hand, Ancient of Law, and clearing the board. You need an Ancient of Law to heal, and you'd have to clear the board.
That doesn't look very likely. He finds one of the 2 with no heal. So if Ancient of Law for card draw, what saves you?
Nothing, I don't think.
Oh, come on, there's got to be something.
Death Lord? No.
Savage Roar is not even there. Actually, Savage Roar wipes the board. No, you died to Lothab. I'm sorry.
It's too much.
I'm sorry, Cipher. You've got nowhere to go. This is it.
You can heal and trade in your 2 dudes into the Drake.
I mean, from his perspective, he's not dead yet. So what he's going to do probably is trade away the 2 guys into the Drake and then Ancient of Lord to contest. Or maybe you just trade into... I'm not sure. I think StanCifka ate a piece of fruit.
he's known for that. He does love chomping on that fruit when he's playing. Like when we were at Gamescom, he just had like bananas, apples, just all over his computer desk, eating away. So he does actually go for it. Is he going to use his hero power?
Like, ultimately, it doesn't really change too much, right? That you use it now, because you're going to take the damage from the minion anyway. So if you're going to kill it, it's the same thing. In this case, though, he hopes that the 5/5 will contest the Lotheb, and he's not going to die to Force of Nature, which is a decent assumption. But in this case, StanCifka's got more than the lethal he needs, and that's going to be it. He's going to take the first game in the Druid mirror match.
An honest Druid mirror match. We saw no ramp. They had to fight for board. They both had clunky-ish hands to start with, and when the Forsen started coming down, that's when the heat really got like kind of picked up with these players. But well played, StanCifka.
Interactivity in Hearthstone. Get out of here. You can't be right. We see StanCifka with his Mage and Warlock left, and Cipher's got a Paladin, Warrior, Druid. And keep in mind, StanCifka let voluntarily Cipher's Warrior alive, so he's perfectly fine with that deck coming over. And now that he gets a win against something else, if he's not too worried about the Warrior, it might just be exactly what he's looking for.
Well, it could be Patron, it could be Control. I've seen Cipher play Control Warrior.
Right.
Well, I've seen him play it in the last few days, just kind of on ladder. So maybe he's fallen to that because he feels comfortable with it. But StanCifka's been pretty brave, I suppose. Like I said, maybe he's had so much experience against Warrior over these last few months, so he's been so dominant. Like he just doesn't care. Like he'd rather ban something else. Yeah,
he's got a little notebook here, keeping notes, keeping tabs on what cards are played, just to make sure that he knows what your opponent's options are. So it's definitely a good thing. Cipher here with the Inner Rage. I'm assuming there's no aggro Warrior, so it's got to be something like a Patron.
Yeah, for sure. So.
Wow, StanCifka with a double BGH.
That's interesting.
I like it. I kind of like it because if you expect to ban, if you expect to leave Paladin alive, Monsieur's Challenger dies to BGH on an empty board from an Avenge triggering, and against Handlock, if you expect it to show up, it kind of makes sense. I don't hate it. I just have to wonder what he's targeting exactly. Maybe
unless he's expecting Handlock.
Exactly. That would be my assumption.
Oh, there she is, Warsong Commander. She looks pretty now, but she's going to get beaten up by Blizzard soon.
Oh, man.
And she's going to retire.
Yeah, her skin's going to turn blue. It's unfortunate. Poor little girl. I really wonder what Warsong Commander is going to do, really, because there's nothing to use it with. So people are just going to let it go and move on with Patron. StanCifka firmly believes that the deck will stick around in some form or another.
I think so, too.
Yeah.
Maybe not to kind of the dynamic version we have now with kind of the Frovins and stuff, but I think Patron on its own is still powerful. It'll probably just slow the deck down. It won't have the charge element to it, so it'll be much more of a board control deck.
Definitely, I think it would be interactive because the Patron's not charging would mean that your opponent gets to respond to them and maybe nullify the threat before it becomes overwhelming. So again, Handlock, we say that this is one of the best matchups, one of the best decks against Patron Warrior, but as people have learned to play against Handlock, it seems like the matchup is less and less lopsided in the favor of the Warlock.
It's true. I've seen Warlock, the favorable quote-unquote matchup, fall so many times to Patrons. And it's interesting here that Cipher actually plays a tempo Frovin because Frovin's an important piece of winning this matchup against Handlock. And if Cipher's been watching the games, he's probably seen a lot of Zoo, right?
Definitely. So I mean, that could be... You might expect Zoo to have already played something by this stage instead of tapping. If you know anything about StanCifka, maybe you expect the Handlock. I don't dislike the tempo frothing. What it does is it guarantees that because you have the execute, even if a giant comes out, the frothing is going to get buffed up. And if he couldn't kill your frothing on turn 3, then it's going to probably live to 4, maybe 5. So you're going to be able to get a lot of mileage out of it.
He needs to activate some minions for Battle Rage.Maybe Unstable Ghoul. Might be decent here.
So the drawback with Unstable Ghoul is that Hellfire wipes your board because it'll kill the frothing after the AoE. Double Dark Bomb would do it as well, so there's definitely a good argument for not doing so. We'll see what Cipher opts to do. I think armoring up is a pretty safe play.
So Execute can come out. These Executes are so important in this matchup because they may be the only way you can punch through 9/9 Taunted Giants. And
is that a German giant?
A 9/9, a no Taunted Giant. Yeah. So yeah, it's very hard sometimes to punch through those minions without the Execute. But he wants to protect his Robin here, and I can see why.
Yeah, StanCifka's got no perfect answer to this just yet. We'll have to see what he comes up with. Maybe he finds a Mortal Coil. No luck on that front. Looks like Void Caller might come out. It's open to Deathbite. I mean, what it does is it forces your opponent to play a Deathbite and kill it, but he's reluctant, right? Because maybe Mal'Ganis shows up. Maybe something really threatening shows up, so he doesn't want to do that.
Another Patron to the hand, not what we wanted to see. Deathbite is so important for the Patron Warriors to be able to fight off these earlier minions. This Void Caller likes to create mind games, like what will come out? Can I deal with what has just come out? You've seen an Execute, right? So if Mal'Ganis came down, one Execute's gone, and he has to fish through more of his deck, and there's not been much card draw for Cipher just yet.
Yeah, Cipher, if he had a Deathbite, we need a golden spot. So he's going to Battle Rage for one card in hopes to find something he needs. This is not it. This can't be what he wants. And he is going to play the Unstable Ghoul. He's not too worried about Hellfire, it seems. So Dark Bomb will be sufficient here with the extra 3/4. I have to wonder about the Unstable Ghoul here.
I think there's not a lot going on in his hand, right?
I mean, I feel like you're just feeding the Unstable Ghoul, right? Because if you had Dark Bomb, he might have double traded either way. I guess you're guaranteeing a kill on that Void Caller. So there's definitely that argument to be made. I think that's what's going through his mind.
He can't. I mean, he could keep it for the combo later on, but as the way this game is going, no card draw.
Yeah.
Oh, Big Game Hunter actually lines up beautifully with that. That was an excellent play. Actually gets a cycle out of Big Game Hunter, which can become a liability in this matchup. So that was really good from StanCifka.
Yeah, and now Cipher can't even draw from the slam. He has got nothing. Makes you wonder why Hearthstone Commander is even being changed. when you see games like these, you just feel like Patron is thoroughly balanced, even bad. But overall, it's doing a lot better than against its handlock matchup.
Oh man, what do you even do?
I'm foreseeing the Warsong Commander Fraud in play. Here we go, man.
If you throw away Warsong and Frovin, you've lost the game. Because he's already lost to Frovin. Frovin is how you win this matchup. You need.
I know.
You can't. It's not a resource. It stays in your hand, and it only comes out when you're gonna win.
I like the armor pass into. I hope my prospects improve.
I think so. You can't slam either. I don't think
you could slam. You could slam something. I mean, there's a decent argument to be made for slamming, maybe to mitigate damage, because you might not have time later on.
I think card draw is more important at this point, because this is his only piece of card draw he's had in the last 2 to 3 turns, and he's just thrown it away on the BGH, and he's at 30 health. I mean,
yeah, we'll see how things go. I mean, it looks very dire for Cipher right now. It's not a hand he wants.
Forcing time, I think. Or if you want to be super aggressive, you could tap Giant. What would you prefer?
Mountain Giant, Sun Fury is okay. I mean, I don't think Sun Fury is that amazing here. When you're getting the Emperor value, it's not going to get any better. I mean, we're looking at a full hand. It's hard to beat that. And if he couldn't deal with your measly minions early, do you think he can deal with this? I think not.
Oh man, this is where Deathbite becomes a bit clunky, unfortunately, for him.
2 turns too late for the Deathbite for Cipher.
I mean, going forward, if he Deathbites something, I mean, if he Deathbites the Void Caller and he brings down a demon like Mal'Ganis, he's going to lose. If he Deathbites face and a Molten Giant comes down, he gets to taunt up. He's already used an Execute.
I think the play is really Deathbite face. Hope you top deck Execute, then play Warsong Commander and Frothing with an Execute, I guess, and hope that many minions are hit and somehow you go through. Yeah, you have to play the odds, and I don't think either of the no matter how you look at it, this doesn't look like a great way to win.
And Forestong's going to get another tick as well. You never want to give Handlock another tick of Forestong. I mean, so much value here. That's just so bleak.
Yeah, StanCifka's got himself, 3 taunt givers with 2 giants in hand if he wants, so he can play the Mountain Giant taunted up. Unfortunately, and this is pretty much what Cipher's banking on, none of the minions besides the giant that will be played will be at particularly high health totals. So there's a good chance that when you end up playing the giant, it gets executed or it just dies to another removal piece from Cipher.
Although, if he does taunt up the Forestong with the giant, he protects his Forestong from the Deathbite. Exactly. So, I mean, I don't think Cipher's plays so far have been quite weak because he hasn't had a really strong side and hasn't had a card draw. So StanCifka could potentially just take a risk here and feel like he hasn't drawn anything.
Giant on top, or is he playing? I mean, you have to play around Brawl, or do you even care? All right, never mind. We're all in, and StanCifka is going for the kill, which realistically Cipher won't dodge unless he's got the Brawl, and that is not it. He could still get it if it's in his deck.
So Patrons might be Patrons don't even really do much. That's the problem.
Patrons might be good. Oh wait, no, not so.
And another problem is this Void Caller, he doesn't know what's going to come down from it. It could be Doomguard, Jiraxxus, could be anything.
At this point, I think it has to be a brawl. If there's a brawl in his deck, is the Acolyte draw and then Hail Mary that brawl. He escape concedes and he gives StanCifka the information that there is no brawl in his deck, perhaps.
Yeah, that was tough for Cipher. We say it's a tough matchup, but it's not unwinnable. But Cipher just didn't have any card. He didn't have a card draw engine from the beginning, and which is so important with the Patron Warrior.
StanCifka probably was correct in his read that Patron Warrior wouldn't give me too much trouble. But now I want to see what his Mage will do against the Warrior, because that's another question mark, because Druid and Handlock, we know them. We know the triad of the triangle rather of Druid, Handlock, Patron, and then Mage is kind of a wild card, and it is Freeze Mage from StanCifka.
So Cipher, luckily for him, cues into a good matchup. Some very important ways to win this. You need your Armor Smiths. You don't play your Armor Smiths as just dudes anymore. Your Armor Smiths are your way to heal potential, just crazy amounts
of
the
patrons. You get 30 health, right? Just like casually, just an extra 20 health, and good luck burning that down with fireballs.
And you get to a point, so you save your Execute for Alex, and you save your Execute for Antonidas, and then you just press armor until you get to a point where you can just whirlwind a massive Patron Bulb with the Armor Smith. So
it's probably one of the matchups that you have the easiest game plan for, assuming you play them. I know some lists used to cut Armor Smiths, and for a brief time, Freeze Mage was kind of okay against them. But as soon as Armor Smiths came back in, which they have, and they've been around for a while now, you pretty much never lose this as Patron, assuming you find the Armor Smiths.
Although, I do remember seeing Maverick beat Life Coach with Freeze Mage Patron, and it came right down to the wire. It was really tough. Life Coach had like 2 decisions to make regarding gaining armor, and he made kind of the wrong decision. Well,
a little less armor. I think I remember seeing that game.
Oh, it was such an intense match. So maybe we'll see something similar. Maybe StanCifka's got some tricks up his sleeve, which we haven't seen yet. I think the one problem is for the Freeze Mage as well, they never really put any pressure on the life total. So it just leaves the Warrior to just press armor. Just keep pressing the hero power button as much as they want, really.
Cipher sees uncomfortable with the length of this rope. He's
really?
Is this really like 75 seconds and you're going to ping me?
He's being life roped right now.
Yeah, Cipher right now, his face looks like that of a depressed man. He's like, okay, I'm going to play my turn in 2 seconds, StanCifka. Can you return the favor, please? And StanCifka's going to say no. It's
interesting he even pinged Cipher there.
I think milling might be something he wants to do. One of the things that you have to worry about as well when you are playing Patron Warrior is not overdrawing with Battle Rages.
That's true.
And one of the few and funny things that you can do as Freeze Mage is let them overdraw. Like we've seen people BM into death. Like on ladder, it happens very often. Warrior forgets that he's low on cards and just battle rages for 10 cards or like double battle rages and loses. So, I mean, it happens infrequently, but it still does.
So Frobin's going to come down to put some pressure on. This is what Frobin's job is in this matchup. just harass Jaina, ruin her day. And StanCifka's answer is kind of Frostbolt ping, but that's one of his direct damage resources.
What's interesting is this Frothing, if it eats up a Frostbolt, you're actually happy about it, right?
Ooh, what's a Fireball?
StanCifka values the Frostbolt freeze effect to deny the ability for Cipher to just go off on a crazy Death's Bite turn. I like that decision.
I think another thing Frostbolt has as well over Fireball is Antonidas.
Is cheaper to play, so you can just play it immediately on turn 9 and maybe even keep the Antonidas.
Or even if he hits a Furson with like Ice Lances and more Frostbolts, he can just make so many Fireballs, it's very hard to armor it past it.
That looks like StanCifka's... I mean, if he picks up an Emperor Thorson and an Archmage over the next few turns, he's pretty much set for the Fireball spam, at least the beginning of it.
He just needs to find it. He hasn't had much card draw. The Mad Scientist will definitely help because he'll thin his deck for 1 card, but he does need to start finding Acolytes, the Arcane Intellects. Because, I mean, the Blizzard and the Frost Nova doesn't really do anything at the moment because there's not enough pressure. The Cipher's doing the same as StanCifka. I just want to draw cards.
Yeah, it will be amazing, though, at one point, right, when the combo comes out. Now, Cipher decides to use a Slam to not draw cards. Definitely I think it's a correct decision in this case.
Does he? Yeah, he does attack. Okay, pop that. It looked like he wasn't going to attack there, but pop the Ice Barrier. That's just fine.
Is there a drawback not to? I mean, if you attack first and then you kill the mad scientist, at least maybe your opponent gets a dead turn because he can't go for another ice barrier, assuming that's his only play.
I don't think it was a slam as well. When he slammed the mad scientist, he stopped 2 damage from coming at him.
Coming out, yeah.
Or he stopped having to trade. So his hero power gets more value there, and that's what it's all about here. He just wants to draw cards and use the hero power.
All right, what will we see Cipher do here? I mean, Emperor Thorson is not a card you're happy to play on a board like this because it's not really putting anything that you're looking for.
I like 1 Battle Rage now to see what you get, and then you can make more decisions to cycle your draw cards, and then force on the next turn we'll probably hit something with more value.
Yeah, and do you slam? I mean, you could slam this Loot Hoarder, but maybe it's better to keep it for an execute play on something like Alex Traza later.
Yeah, for sure. I would like to see what the Battle Rage goes first.
Definitely, yeah. I think that's the correct play.
Frothing.
All right, hello, fellow. The other Battle Rage would overdraw him, so he goes for the slam again. Same line of thinking. It's consistent with his game plan so far.
And armor up. Armor button's very important. You could have been super greedy today, like double Battle Rage, coin, shield block. I'll just draw everything, but he's been pretty conservative. And next turn he can coin. He can force on coin Battle Rage. So if he wants to draw more cards, that option is there.
So StanCifka, he's got the burn. He doesn't have the cards he's looking for, like Archmage Antonidas, Emperor Thorson. Those would be amazing, but he's got time ahead of him for now because there's no pressure coming from Cipher. He hasn't seen an Emperor Thorson, so he's not worried about a crazy OTK. The frothing was already taken care of, at least one of them. So he probably feels okay with what's going on right now.
So I'm curious what he's going to do here. Thorson seems great, of course. You hit some really important pieces here.
The last few turns, he definitely did, yeah.
I don't think I would have mind seeing maybe coin Battle Rage to just hit more cards. Because if he finds the Armor Smith then as well, it would have just been amazing. Oh, another Fireball. That's 2 Fireballs gone on minions alone.
Yeah, I guess Ice Lance is a Fireball in some cases when you use it in a specific manner. Now we're going to have to see what Cipher opts to do. He's got the opportunity to hit the opponent for quite a bit, but the problem is it's not enough. To really pop an ice block if it's there. It won't be threatening enough if it is an ice barrier. So you're still not putting your opponent in a position where he can't answer your plays.
This match for StanCifka, although it's quite hard, what's really good for him here, playing it slow and just playing it out, is information. He might find more cards in Cipher's deck that he hasn't already noted down, because he's writing down everything. Any card that's played, he's jotting it down. So this is like an information gathering exercise for StanCifka going forward, because he's still got 2 more matches, which is going to be good. So
definitely.
Very smart from StanCifka.
I mean, in this case, he's just noting it down to know exactly what Cipher is going to be playing in the event in case they meet up again. Yeah, that's an interesting card in Freeze Mage. You don't see it very often. It is, however, viable. We've seen some versions of Freeze Mage run Duplicate, and when you see that, then there might be a Belcher sprinkled in. It'll return, Healbots and Doomsayers.
I think we've jumped the gun here with Freeze Mage. This could potentially be Echoes.
It totally could be.
Like, we haven't seen
the Fireballs make me believe it's not, but I might be mistaken. I just haven't seen too many Fireballs in Echo Mage. But I don't put it past StanCifka to be playing exactly that. And if the Belcher gets duplicated, that would be an absolutely crushing blow.
Yeah, StanCifka's raised a lot of questions with us of what he's playing. It's an interesting list. Unless he's just putting the anti-Keelbot and the Sludge Belcher to slow down aggro even more.
Well, I mean, if you're playing, we're looking at this, he did let Warrior go through. And Sludge Belcher is notably good against Warrior. I mean, sure, it suffers from dying to Death's Bite, spawning an extra patron off the slime. But if you play it at a proper time where that's not going to happen, then it's totally fine.
Another shield block. More armor here. So Cipher's sitting on a healthy amount of armor. You can still press hero power as well.
Yeah, that's a very, very skill-demanding move.
I know, he just needs to hover over it and he needs to click it.
Yeah, very hard and very fast.
Do you know you spend 8 hours a day practicing that as a Patron Warrior in this matchup? You're just there, click.
Well, what you have to keep in mind is you do have to increase your APM as a Control Warrior, as a Patron Warrior. So one of the perks of that is that you learn to click your hero power very fast.
Such a good skill.
I know. I'm impressed every time.
There we go.
I mean, he can essentially play Hunter now, right?
Yeah.
He's good to go.
He's learned. You're learning 2 classes in one sitting here. You learn how to play Hunter and Warrior at the same time.
That's really insane.
They're both sitting on a healthy amount of armor and health here. I mean, Cipher's is a lot more.
Oh,
there
it's the duplicate variant. StanCifka with the duplicate Sludge Belcher. Cipher will see it coming, though. I think once you see the Belcher fall down, something's up.
You're like, hold on a minute.
Yeah, this is not what I signed up for. And then you still have no choice but to give him what he wants.
Which it makes sense if you think about it. He's been throwing fireballs kind of around like they're worthless almost.
Right.
Like, because fireballs obviously a big important part of finishing off a warrior.
So it is going to be a freeze mage with duplicate, which gives playing the fireballs as removal makes a lot more sense when you know the pressure that you're going to be getting from those sludge belchers is.
There's the armor smith though. Indeed, this could snowball Cipher's life.
Cipher's math face is pretty priceless. Look, he's like, I don't know how to calculate this, but it looks like a lot of armor, and this Belcher is pestering me.
It was almost like he just sat back there. Whoa, I can gain a lot of health here. How much? I don't know.
I'm not a mathematician, but that looks like a lot.
Oh man. So, question time: is it a duplicate Cipher? Do you see that?
Cipher, do you foresee the duel? He's just gonna go for the armor gain.
I think you do.
I mean, when you've got that unstable ghoul, that inner rage, that whirlwind, all the amazing cards.
And this is where we're going to see Cipher's health skyrocket out of control here.
I mean, waiting for the second armor smith might have been correct. I'm not too sure how you play this situation usually, but I think when you wait for 2, you get even more value. Except when you have a board like this, it's probably fine to get just the 1, because you might get a second wave of patrons later on.
I think another thing to consider as well with the second armor smith is you do have a second combo.
Right, exactly. That's the second wave of it, yeah.
And speaking of second armor smith,
did Cipher get all his moves through before the end of the turn? Because duplicate will take a while, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Did Cipher just... Cipher, did you do it? Oh! Oh my god.
He didn't.
This is the Belcher curse.
And it's Tony. So he just needs the Forest and the Ice Lances now. But look how much health Cipher's sitting on it.
I kind of like Archmage Nova. But you want to go Nova... Do you go Nova Doomsayer here and force your opponent to use an Execute on your Doomsayer if he wants to keep his board? Or do you risk running into a Whirlwind with even more armor, which would put you in an even worse spot as Freeze Mage?
I think if you're going to go for a Frost Nova play, you need to bait out removal.
Yeah, that would have to be, unless you really want to go for the Archmage, which then doesn't get removed.
I mean, you've seen 2 shield blocks, so you may assume this is Shield Slam. Because that's quite a popular list.
Definitely makes sense.
Have we seen an Execute yet? I don't think we have.
Man, Cipher, StanCifka doesn't care because Cipher's about 7 cards ahead of him in draw with that last Battle Rage that just happened. So StanCifka is probably happy to play the long game. Just fatigue out the Patron Warrior.
Yeah, maybe this is it. Maybe this is his game plan now going forward. Just even though he's got all this health, Cipher's drawn so much that the fatigue will really affect him going into the later parts of this game.
Yeah, the fatigue paired with the Archmage, that's a really big deal. When you start stacking fireballs on top of the fatigue, it really adds up quickly. And Cipher's got very few turns to finish off his opponent. Playing the Acolyte here is a dead giveaway.
Wow,
he doesn't mind drawing, and StanCifka probably will be fairly happy about this.
I'm super surprised he's just thrown the Armor Smith out here. I wouldn't have played that.
Oh, well, you're not playing in Cipher's seat?
That's true. I mean, he's got the other combo. I think it's super important that Armor Smith finds an insane amount of health through a Whirlwind.
No, I agree. He wants to get that massive health gain, right? That's what, at this point, he's looking for. Do we foresee the Emperor Thorson, or do you expect a ping on the Acolyte just to speed up the process? You expedite it, just a little bit.
Oh, Thorson's very tempting. Hits an Ice Lance and a Frostbolt, so Antonidas will be very... Oh, we can Antonidas, Frost Nova, Frostbolt, Ice Lance for 3 fireballs. So that's pretty juicy.
The following turn is looking very strong for StanCifka. If he goes for the Emperor... But again, if he goes for Emperor here and doesn't deal with the Armor Smiths, he's also opening himself up to a position where the Warrior gains even more armor. And if that's a problem at all, then this is the play that enables it.
So Cipher playing the Armorsmith is going to play into his favor. If he decides to go down that route, if he decides, you know what, I'll just gain more armor. But then again, he still needs to win the game. He still needs a win condition.
Yeah, right now, it doesn't look like he's got any. I mean, he's still relying on his Whirlwind AoE, I think, to carry him forward. The Death Spite's going to come out, finish off the Thorson. And what's next? You just armor up and pass, it seems.
Yeah, keep hitting that armor button.
That's almost a fireball.
Yeah, it's interesting kind of how this game has gone, because I would have said straight away, Cipher, you know, you're in the driving seat here, but Cipher doesn't have a win condition really at the moment, because StanCifka's not giving him any minions to interact with. He missed attacking the Belcher. He roped out, so he missed like 12, 15 damage.
I think it was like 6 or 9 maybe a total. About 9 damage, yeah, because you have to attack the slime first. But it was a substantial amount. And that is something that you absolutely need to get against Freeze Mage. They're already healing up a lot through the ice barriers. That's 16 health you have to go through. The anti-kill bot makes that even more difficult. And now the Sludge Belcher being duplicated makes your life a complete nightmare. And Cipher has no choice but to go all in on the patrons, get all the armor he can. And I'm not even sure that's going to be enough. But there will be a lot of armor on his hero.
The Belcher wall.
Oh
my
my
punch
goodness. Look at that.
Baiting out some removal as well, which is excellent.
This is a lot of armor. That is way too much armor.
StanCifka doesn't seem phased by it though. He's just like, yeah, whatever. I can deal with it.
Yeah, he's fatigued. You know, he's gonna hit 10 damage per card drawn long before I'm dead.
It's interesting. It's these matchups, especially like Freeze Mage versus Patron. Like I mentioned before, the game with Maverick and Life Coach, it was very much the same kind of style, where you just didn't know where it was going. You kind of felt like, Patron's favored, is going to win. It can gain loads of health, but yeah, Maverick managed to actually win that game, regardless how much health Life Coach gained. So maybe it'll go that way too. It's very
we'll see. I don't know. That's the last armor gain that Cipher's ever getting, because StanCifka might give him another opportunity with the, Blizzard giving him another round of armor. But that's the last effort that Cipher can put together, and this is the board that Cipher has to win with. He's got weapons. That's a lot of phase damage, and the Belchers are gone. But can StanCifka really let this board be a problem? I don't know about that. He gets a ping Blizzard if he wants to. Another duplicate with Healbot. That can help even further later on. I have to wonder against something like Face Hunter or Mid-Range Hunter, how does this fare?
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I mean, he banned Hunter.
He did ban it, so I don't think he likes it very much. I have to assume it's not something he wants to face off against. And another 7 armor for Cipher. The Patron will not get to clone itself, and StanCifka will merely ping it.
All right, so
lots of armor.
Lots of armor, but what does Cipher do to win?
I mean, you have 75 health. That's a big number. I mean, you at least win the swag war, at least.
That's true. It's just, man, it's... I mean, what I would like to see here, maybe from StanCifka, is play Duplicate. Next turn, play Tony. Throw all your spells. He'll think, damn, I need to remove Antonidas.
And then you get 2 Antonidas.
And you get 2 Antonidases, so that's something to consider.
Yeah. I was going to say, is it Antoni die when you have many? But I guess it's not.
The plural.
Yeah, I don't think it is, because it's not a US.
Almost out of cards. Draws more card draw.
That's good. It speeds up the fatigue process. It turns Resident Sleeper into Exciting Sleeper.
Armor up. Oh, man. So much health.
Yeah, but in the end, it didn't even matter. Linkin Park.
Linkin Park. What are you going to do? So, Antonidas, Duplicate, Frostball, Icelands.
That sounds just fine to me.
That sounds beautiful, because if Tony gets duplicated, it's going to look very much in StanCifka's favor.
Yeah, and how does Cipher remove it? He has to override his Death Spite and execute? Now, I mean, at this point, Cipher thinks, oh, this is probably Ice Block, right?
How do you win with this hand? I don't think you can.
You can execute face.
Yeah,
I mean, Twitch chat is good at that. I know they are, but...
And he executes, and then StanCifka smiles, eats a banana, and says, well, you got more Tonys to deal with than this one.
Tony, go!
Oh, man.
I choose you. All right, well, it looks like Cipher, without any more damage coming out, might just opt for the escape concede, and he does, and StanCifka will take it 3-0 over Cipher.
Wow, that was impressive play. We were talking about how much armor, much health Cipher had, and he conceded with like 60 health. It's incredible performance from StanCifka there.
It's funny because StanCifka always smiles. He's always smiled, but right now he's using the Magic the Gathering Pro face,
Poker
which
face.
is basically, I win a tournament, I don't mind. Like, it's just business as usual. Oh, he did smile.
Oh, he got a cheeky smile out there for Cipher.
Cheeky smile.
Yeah.
Oh,
So he's still a happy guy, still wants to party, still having fun.
yeah. All right, so we should get some words from the winner of the series.
Just putting his shoes back on.
Yeah, casually, you know. Take the shoes off, eat some fruit.
Oh, man.
Just another Hearthstone tournament. You would expect it to be a lot more formal, but it's pretty casual. I like it. All right, Cipher, you're out, and now StanCifka is going to give some words.
Thank you very much. So, congratulations. And I have a little bit questions for you. What's up with bananas? Why you always have a little bit snack in every game? They give you power or something?
Well, sometimes you are stressed a little bit and you need to relax. And it's also very, you get exhausting because it's a very difficult game. Maybe it's not like that obvious, but it's very difficult to make all the plays. So I need some way to refresh the energy. So that's the way.
Okay, it's a good habit, I tell you. And why didn't you ban Warrior?
Well, because I kind of feel I'm able to handle the patrons, and it actually worked, so I'm pretty happy that I was able to win twice against a Green Patron Warrior, and it's the last chance play against the deck, and I still believe I'm able to fight against it, so...
Okay, I see. And tell me a secret. Patron Warrior is very, very popular hero. How to beat it?
Well, I think it's very good against aggressive decks, but if you know how to play against it, and you tune your decks well against it, it's also necessary. You can beat it, like you need to have a plan against this deck, and I hope I do. So let's see like how it's gonna go in the next rounds, but I hope I have a way to deal with it.
Congratulations again, well done. Goodbye.
All right, so that's actually pretty cool because we saw two approaches. You know, we saw Dog just say, I'm not going to bring Warrior, they're going to ban it anyway. And then we see StanCifka say, bring Warrior. I don't mind, you can just play it and I'll beat it. So I wonder what the other players, think about that approach, because most of them bring it by default and just bring 3 other decks that they expect to be able to play. I
mean, one thing StanCifka had in his favor during that matchup was the element of surprise, the duplicates. 2 copies of duplicate, actually. Right. 1 hitting the Antonidas, 1 hitting the Sludge Belcher. So maybe Cipher thought, that's probably not going to be another duplicate, and probably going to be an Ice Block. So that element of surprise has gone. So StanCifka will probably have to do a little bit more work going forward, because you can't just say, surprise, more Antonidas, you have to deal with them.
Yeah, it does make playing around the deck even harder, though, because you're playing around Ice Barrier and Ice Block. I mean, you know they're there, but you never know when the duplicate's there. I'm guessing, though, when you're playing the Freeze Mage that he's playing, the only minion you'll have on the board when you have the duplicate is Belcher. You will play around that so that it happens, that it's the only minion they have to handle. So I kind of like the deck from StanCifka. I hope it works out in the remaining games that he's got to play. It's kind of refreshing to see Freeze Mage back with a bit of a twist.
Yeah, it's an exciting twist as well. We saw how crazy the Antonidas was. I mean, we didn't actually get to see Antonidas do a lot, but its impact it had on the game with the duplicates. He just exhausted Cipher of all options. He had, what, 70 health and he conceded or something ridiculous like that?
Yeah, no win condition, right? You could die to a Flame Imp over time, so... We'll be taking a short break, guys, and moving on to the next match of the day. We've got quite a few, so yeah, we'll be right back. Do not go anywhere.
From east to west, heroes